I've got a problem with this grain bin, and this morning I've got to fix it, and it is cold. This is the grain bin that I installed about 3 months ago, and it's where we have our bulk pig feed delivered. It's augered directly out of a truck and into this bin. I had a few naive expectations that created this problem. Let me show you what I'm talking about. When I purchased the bin, on this front side, I had them install this bucket gate. All I've got to do is hang a 5-gallon bucket right here, slide that up, and the feed comes pouring out. When I put it in, I had them install it high enough so that I could bring my hopper bottom feed bins, black totes with a hopper bottom on the end, set them right here with a tractor, lift it, and it'd fill the bottom half of those feed bins. My original plan for this grain bin was to install an auger onto it. Here's what an auger looks like. It connects to the bottom of the grain bin, and it works really well for filling larger volume containers. It's got a tube with an auger that twists from a motor. This auger here is from the local farm store where I used to pick up my feed. They would auger it into these containers that I'd then haul to the farm. But as the auger turns inside the tube, the grain travels up the chute and drops into the container. This is what I'd planned on using, thinking that's how I would fill most of my containers. That way I could just plug a generator up, auger the feed directly into the feeders. But what I've realized is that bucket gate is incredibly nice, and actually, especially when I'm feeding sows, it is the simplest thing to use. Because we have to ration our sows' feed, especially when they're in gestation, we can't just free choice feed them. Now, we can offer free choice feed to our feeder pigs. All we have are our breeder pigs and 12 piglets that we'll be weaning soon. I've decided that I don't need an auger for this grain bin at the moment and may never need one. It's just too easy to use these bucket gates. And here's the problem. Now, you can probably imagine, but what happens is as the feed comes out of this bucket gate, it piles up at an angle all the way up the side. It left over 1.5 tons worth of feed in the grain bin. I'm going to empty it and then install this other bucket gate. Now, I usually order 6 tons of feed at a time. That gives me about a month to 2 months worth of feed. And so the grain bin will only have 6 tons of feed in it, and if I fill it up, it'll hold 12 or 14 tons of feed. And what that means is because I'm using so little feed compared to the capacity of this bin, I would just leave a bunch of feed in that cone that would age and age and age and never be used. And these grain bins are gonna sweat some, especially in the summer because of condensation. And if that's never cleaned out, not only do you not have good quality feed, the biggest problem that I'll run into, that feed will mold, mildew, and it won't even come out the bottom. So it needs to be cleaned out every time I use the grain bin. And you see, if I install a bucket gate on this opposite side, I can more easily get the feed out of that side as well. So the first thing I've got to do is unpack the contents of the box and grab the sticker template that you stick to the bin where you want the bucket gate to go. The template has places for 18 holes to drill and an outline of where you need to cut the hole in the grain bin, making things so incredibly easy. DeWalt's Power Stack batteries aren't worth a hoot. They're light, but they don't have any power. Usually I use a grinding wheel to just cut through, but they say it'll mess up the galvanized coating on the bin, because of the heat. If you're gonna do this, rather than a reciprocating saw, use a jigsaw and a metal cutting blade. Much easier, I'm willing to bet. So we drilled 3/8 holes And these are 5/16 bolts. So fortunately, they had us drill bigger holes than we needed. I think I'm gonna have to take my jacket off to be able to do this. Man, it's gonna be cold. 30 degrees, the wind's blowing like crazy, and I'm out here in a short sleeve shirt. I think this should be your job. There's no way. There's no way.
I think you gotta do that one at a time.
I think we're gonna have to take this whole daggum thing down. This is so frustrating. We're gonna have to take the whole bottom collar off to be able to put this thing in right. It's not that big of a deal, but it's a lot more work than I had anticipated. Anyway, I'm about to freeze. I hope that'll be easy enough to put back on. Can you get in there? I think you're gonna make it. If you stick your hand above you, can you reach these top bolts up here?
Yeah.
Let's put it in, starting with the top. I think we're gonna have to take all the others out. Can you push that top right one from you? My fingers are so numb, I can't work them very well. Huh? Just the top right, I'm trying to do that now. Can you hold it? Wait, push it. Look, it's not now. All right, now top left, your left. All right, I can finger in there. Sit at the bottom, left corner. Your left. Don't move somewhere, all right, from the bottom, let's just keep going up. Isn't that the last one that you see on that side?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm just making sure I'm not missing something.
Oh, is it just that
It's
one?
got to be turned around. Inside out. Oh, it's my fault. There we go. Ho-ho! Well, we finally got the bucket gate installed and finished, but it was cold and windy. I'm glad Evan showed up to help. It would have been difficult for me to get those bolts from the inside while trying to tighten them as well. A couple days later, the truck from the feed mill showed up to auger the feed into the grain bin.